All right, is it on? Okay. So hello. This is a video where I'm going to try to explain a few things and hopefully reach out to some folks for some help with the situation and something that I've been dealing with for quite a while. So those of you guys that know me, I put on social media the other day about, if you're a real friend, does that come with conditions or whatnot? And honestly, this is the reason, because I'm going through something that is so bizarre and so just life-altering in a way that almost no one believes it, not even myself. But the fact is that I am going through something. I have witnesses that other people are going through it, and I need to let somebody know, and I'm going to go through it here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, real quick, some overview of some stuff, and then I'm going to post some details later because I don't want to put too much out there. But essentially, if you know me, over the past year, you know that I've had some situations with fraud and the computer, and issues like hackers or websites acting up and so on. And I've also said, when I lived in Mableton, that I felt very strongly that there was something amiss, something going on in that area. And like I said, I don't want to get too much into what I believe, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I've seen. So right at the first of 2013, started noticing some weird things. Started not feeling well, having some health issues. Started to have some problems on Maple Street, and they were very obvious to me. I started doing some research, and I became a little vocal about, man, I think they're doing testing on people in Mableton. With that said, soon after, I started having problems with my computer and websites not loading right. Like if I would search something in Google, the algorithm was off. Things were amiss. I work on computers for a living. Everybody kept telling me that I was overreacting, that I was paranoid, that nothing was wrong, but something just felt off, okay? For a while on Maple Street, I had this feeling of being watched, and I kept hearing odd noises. Well, long story short, we found a cushy chair in my attic in Maple Street, and a way or a hole for someone to go from my crawl space to the attic, and they were observing me in my office. Okay. I'll bring some more details on that. So we found this chair, and we found a way that somebody could climb back and forth. Okay. Things like my dog got poisoned, and finding odd things around the house. Just lots of stuff that pointed me in the direction that someone was in my house, someone was watching me, and something was going on. Soon after, I started noticing things on my computer that shouldn't have been there. And one of those things was that there was this capability or network that was picking up all the data and syncing my data and all of my electronics. My Xbox, my laptop, my computer, and so on. Okay? Things started getting so strange that I began worrying. One night, I stayed up on my front porch, and because I felt like somebody had been coming in and out of my house. I was convinced. And I had been observing these weird things that I'll get into details. Sitting on my front porch in Mableton, I witnessed three men, or three people, underneath the crawl space areas, or in the general vicinity of underneath the house or in the bushes of my neighbors' residences. And there was a man directly underneath my porch. I heard him directly underneath me. They synchronized some kind of signal to each other, And as soon as I heard the man start digging and was away from me, I freaked out and called the police and told them what I saw, that a man was underneath my porch. This was now the second time I'd reported it. They said, we don't have tunnel police. They essentially laughed at me. During that time, I called the police like 3 times. And each time it was just like they were so short with me. And on almost every occasion, they sent the same officer. Okay. So, long story short, I start to be convinced that something's going on. Now I've seen someone, they've seen me, and now the harassment really steps up. I would come home and things would be moved. My dog would be constantly let out. My dog was poisoned twice. All of my clothes would have holes in the same places. All my bras, straps were cut. My shoe strings, one would be missing. My car was vandalized. Literally terrorized, okay? I moved because law enforcement wouldn't do anything. I kept having incidents. And again, then began going through some health issues, okay? I was convinced like some kind of medical testing was going on or something. Because I would wake up, I would have bruises on my body, or I would wake up and just be sore. I had an incident where the skin was literally eaten in a hole, and I had several places like that. And I'm not the only one in my household, okay? When we get to 15 minutes, we'll cut it in half. All right? So I kept having issues. I contacted law enforcement higher up via the phone and essentially was told to move and then call them back. I attempted to call them back, never heard back, never got any kind of assistance with them whatsoever. The last several months have been horrible. Knowing something that is going on, seeing something and witnessing it, and not having any way to get help. Everyone thinking I'm crazy, telling me that I'm overreacting, that I'm paranoid. It has been a nightmare. I would put like white tape on the doors to prove that somebody had come in the door. Things would be moving. Every flashlight I purchase disappears. I can't even get into all the things that are going on. So here I am, terrified to go to bed, convinced that something's going on. And again, I do know someone else that's going through something very similar, and they are in the same line as thinking that I am. Here we are now. I have been investigating and keeping up just files and records of whatever. With the computer, I kept noticing something was off. It was like something was syncing, something was viewing, audio would be running in the background, it would be recording conversations, just weird things. Again, I went to 3 professionals who told me I was being paranoid, who said nothing was installed, that they couldn't find anything, and so on. And so finally, I've been able to kind of piece together at least one part of this very big puzzle, in that I've discovered that whoever or whatever had access to my house, because I would find like computer parts and things on the floor. You know, like I said, I noticed things were going on the computer. What's going on is there is a simulator, a device simulator that has been loaded onto my electronics, and including my phone. And again, everyone's told me, oh, you know, that's not possible, but I'm telling you it's possible. I have had calls that never come through. I would dial out and think I'm getting like Comcast or my bank, and I was like, man, they didn't know what number I was calling or whatever. It was like a complete filter on all of my communications. I mean, again, I know how this sounds, but a complete filter on communications. And what I've discovered on my desktop, my phone, every tablet, even my Xbox, is a hidden subsystem obfuscated and installed running an entire operating system inside of Windows 7. And I'm not even going to try to explain the terminology. I'm hoping someone can see this and help me from here, okay? But essentially here is, I've got this running. This is essentially the phone emulator or simulator that they've installed. And as you can see, I can act just like a phone right here on the computer. And this is essentially supposed to be what we call a developer mode. And somebody has installed this on my cell phone and my computer. So needless to say, whoever has access to, or me dialing out, now it's not going to work, me dialing out, it can be completely filtered. If I dial a number that's Comcast, they have the capacity to see that I'm dialing to Comcast and answer it. If I email somebody, they have the capacity to filter it. Every web page that I go to is completely redirected, and there is an elaborate program running that masks the URL, and then it goes in and changes to what it should be. So if I go to www.google.com, there's actually something going on in the background. And you can see this SSL here says it's secure here. But earlier it was saying that this was VeriSign. And so now it's saying Global Trust. So what it was doing was using personal tokens that it created. The encoding is all XML. It's running like an Apache server. If you don't know what that is, no worries. I'm just trying to put some details out here so that people can help me. Because I need to figure out what's going on. Law enforcement, I'm scared if it's a hacker, this is the most elaborate scheme, and they could literally access your, what's that?
Access your information.
They could access anything, and then via Bluetooth, anybody that I come in contact with. So, literally my phone becomes a GPS tracking system because it uses my phone. And then it goes into my computer and it has essential Wi-Fi that's on all the time. My Xbox, anybody that comes in contact, it potentially has the ability to transfer. And essentially what I saw in Mableton was like a tower, an emulating tower that I thought maybe someone had set up a hacker to catch people. But now I realize that this program is installed on my computer. So my fear is, one, that it is a very elaborate hacker scheme, because if I go to wellsfargo.com, they have the ability to insert in the footer to decrypt it and then encrypt it and get all of my passwords. And not only that, when I visit any website and I submit a form or a complaint or say, hey, this is a fake website, when I click submit, it sends my IP address, all of my personal information, the form, and the form data that I just sent. Everybody says, oh, this isn't possible, and I'm telling you, it is happening. I'm so stressed out because for a year I've been dealing with this. But as I said, I'm flabbergasted with what I've discovered, because now, you know, what this means is it's a widespread problem, okay? So my fear is that if it is a hacker, that no one is finding out about this. If it's somebody like law enforcement, then I want to know why the heck they're on my computer, because obviously this is capable for doing for anybody. And just as a FYI, I started, again noticing in Mableton, AT&T had all these installed hidden devices, and if every 15 feet, with a telephone pole. So what that means is, if you have Comcast, the NSA or the government or whoever can tap in everybody's house at midnight and scrape every piece of content from a computer, from a phone, from any device. And I'm scared to say that and put this on the net, but that is what is happening. And I'm terrified because after I've been researching this, after I've been emailing people, I have been harassed, I've been followed, my car's been broken into, my tires slashed, like I said, my dog was poisoned. I am very seriously worried. I'm not trying to cause trouble. I am terrified. You know, if this is some hacker, they've hacked all my medical information because all of my LabCorp stuff was, leaked out. So again, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it since no one will help me. The last things that I wanted to show was that, again, and it's running everything locally. So it's going through a proxy server, a content delivery network. So even when I try to send an email to someone, it essentially could block it. And here is the problem. I emailed somebody and I noticed that now there is a block to that email address. And that email was the EFF.org, okay? And they are the Electronic Frontier Foundation. And so when I tried to send them a email, now I've noticed that I have files on here that immediately blocks anything to that IP address. Anything to anyone's IP address, like the ACLU, anyone. So I need your help. I'm going to put some supporting files up here, not for the purposes of people to figure out how to hack the system, but to help me figure out what's going on. I am not a hacker. I've never intentionally harmed someone's system. I would never send out any malicious code. And my fear is that somebody's using my system to possibly send out malicious code and pin me for it. I really am scared because there's hidden networks that are being created off of my Wi-Fi. So again, I'm going to put supporting files, and again, I ask you to have an open mind because I know this sounds bizarre, but I've been dealing with this for over a year. I am frustrated and terrified, and so I just decided to put it out there because I can't keep struggling with trying to figure out what this is. I mean, I've spent weeks and months. So I need your help. If you know anybody, please forward this link to them. If you have any connections to any NSA or any connections to law enforcement, please send it to them. Somebody needs to know about this system flaw, because if somebody does it on mine, they could do it to anyone when they're sitting in a restaurant or anywhere with Wi-Fi. And this potentially could cause some serious system issues. All right? Thanks for your time.